All right. Hello, everybody. It is July 25th here. We're over halfway through the year again. Hard to believe. Anyway, wanted to open it up right away for any questions. I didn't have a lot of time to prepare stuff. I know we had a great call last week, kind of two in a row about, getting things off the ground, the two most important things to really get things cooking. So that was cool. I think those are all up in the archive. If you missed those, I really would recommend you go back and check out those last two calls. Those were really, really good. Anyway, we've got our event coming up tomorrow, and I know some of you are coming out to that. I just sent an email out. If you didn't get the details in the email, let me know. But anybody that was signed up for that, you should have got an email just a little while ago, probably within the last hour, with all the details and all that good stuff. So anyway, let's go ahead and open up for questions. Where are you guys at?
John?
Hey, Gregory, how's it going?
I thank you. Man, I've been going through all the act videos. I'm almost down. I got like 4 videos to go and I'm done.
Oh, cool.
But here's now the arising dilemma is like, there's a lot of stuff out there in the YouTube world and on stock trading. And I'm trying to like really, what I know my niche. That part has been done. I had a great session with a guy named Jeremy Newsom. He's a fabulous trader, instructor, a great following, and he just hit me over with a 2x4 over the head this morning. I posted something saying, okay, what is your access to your credit spread course? And he wrote back and says, you don't need it. You know what you know, get out there and start making money. Stop studying. And it was like, oh, what a 2x4. It was really cool. I had a big laugh and my wife was like beaming. I told you. So
that sounds similar to what I've been telling you for a while.
True, but it takes a while to accept myself. And that's been that stumbling block. So now after I've gone through the act videos, I'm going through I have 4 trading systems. They all make money.
Okay.
So the question is, in launching, when we get together tomorrow and getting this moving to the next level, I believe in going through the videos, I believe it says focus on one and get started with that.
Yep.
And then the question comes, do I go and just go for the big banana and go for the big one that makes the real big money and try to beat everybody else's attention on the market? Or do I go ahead and start with the small and build up?
Well, so, whenever I'm trying to penetrate a market, I look at the different segments of the market. And what I want to try and focus on first is what's going to be the most lucrative. And sometimes lucrative doesn't mean necessarily the big money. It might be a case of you might be able to get smaller amounts of money from a larger audience rather. But when I look at, lucrative markets, what I'm looking for is a few different things. I'm looking for a market that's big enough to support the sales goal. So if remember in the training, I have the pyramid of awareness. When you get up to the top of the pyramid, that's where the big money is, but that's where the fewest prospects are. So that's where your marketing has to be really keen. It has to be really, really good to get that, to land that. So a lot of times you're better off to go for the bigger base of the pyramid and shoot at it that way because it's a much bigger audience. It's a lot easier to hit. But you want to make sure that wherever the segment of your audience is, whatever you're pointed at, there has to be 2 things at play there. They have to have the money and they have to be willing to spend the money. So if the pain point or the benefit point, one of those two things, if it's big enough that they'll actually spend the money and want to spend it and have it, then you've got it. Now you've got a profitable segment. And then when you create your marketing campaign, you focus on that person because you know who that represents. And then after you've got that one and that's up and running and it's making money, then you can clone the campaign. You just duplicate the whole thing and you target a new segment. Because the deal is, the reason where you have, or the reason you need multiple campaigns is to speak different languages. And your audience, like, it could just be 2 steps to the side. They could want something completely different. Like I use the real estate example all the time. You have buyers and sellers. They both want different things and they're in complete polar opposite to each other. So you might have market segments that are like that. Something might be really important to segment A, but segment B could care less. And the same thing, what's important to segment B might repel segment A. So that's why you need multiple marketing campaigns. That's why you've got to be really specific to get this stuff to work. Because if you're going to pay for traffic, you don't just want to pay for just a boatload of generic traffic, because it won't convert. That's the biggest problem that I see in websites. All the websites I review, or not all of them, but 99.9% of the websites that I review, they're just speaking generically. They're not focused on any segment of a market. They're not trying to segment their market into buckets. But that's the most important thing that you can do, is identify those segments, because your website should also identify them. It should mirror exactly what you're doing. Back to the real estate example. On a real estate homepage, you should have a buy button and a sell button. And they click the one they're interested in. They're basically self-segmenting themselves. They're identifying with who they are. I'm a buyer. I'm looking to buy a house. Okay, this button's for me. So they click on it, and now they go down the rabbit hole that's geared for them. If you don't do that and you just speak that right down the middle of the road, you'll just repel everybody. You really won't get much business offline, or online rather. And if you're doing that offline, you won't get any business there either. That concept has never worked. I've never seen anywhere in history where it wasn't focused in on the target. Like if you look at a really good salesperson, the first thing they'll do is they'll start asking questions. The reason they're asking questions is to figure out what's important to the person they're talking to. Figure out what kind of language they use. Are they real prim and proper, or are they cussing every other word? And you'll see the salesperson will mirror back. Even if he's not one to be prim and proper, he will chameleon and go that way, because he wants to bond with the person he's talking to. And that's how a really good salesperson works, and that's why they're so effective. That's why their conversion is so high. And if you want to replicate that, like there's a lot of really famous people that talk about this concept. Tony Robbins is one that comes to mind. He says, if you want what somebody else has, you have to do what they do. So look at that. Look at the good salesperson. Look at what he does. If you want to make sales and you want to make conversions, you need to do what they do. And if you're trying to do it with an electronic version, there's no problem with that. You just need to do what they do. So you have to replicate that in the online world. You have to take what's worked traditionally throughout history in the sales world, and you have to convert that into the digital world. That's where your website comes in. So, back to the salesperson in real estate, first question he's going to ask, what's it going to be? Hey, are you interested in buying a house, or do you want to sell a house? And now he knows who he's talking to. If you say, I want to buy a house, he's not going to start talking about what's important to a seller now, is he? So neither should your website. So that's why it's so important to segment your audiences. You really do need a marketing funnel for each different segment. You can sell the same thing. Like a lot of you guys have products and services that serve multiple markets, and that's perfectly okay. Nothing wrong with that at all. It's just in how you sell it to each different person. Again, back to the salesperson, he's not going to use the same pitch for everyone. He's not going to use the same words for everyone. He's not going to use the same angles for everyone. He's going to figure out who he's talking to, aka he's going to build a custom marketing campaign on the fly, and that's what you need to do. You need to figure out, what do those campaigns look like for each one of your segments, build them out, and then on your home page or on whatever landing page you're going to send your traffic to, let that page do the work for you. Let it do what the salesman does. Let it ask the question. Have the buckets right there. Like, are you here to buy or are you here to sell? They will self-select. And that way it gives you the opportunity to take them aside. You've got them in another little private room here, which is another thing a salesperson will do. Like if a salesperson's doing a group event, he will segment the audience into the people that want to talk about a certain thing, and he'll take them aside into another room, and he'll do his presentation to that little small group, and he will sell almost all of them, because now he knows who he's talking to and he knows what the script is going to be. And when I say script, that's just language, whatever it is. You all have scripts. Whether they're by the seat of your pants or whether they're written down and followed to the T, everything that comes out of your mouth is a script. The problem is some people don't document that. They will have a conversation, they'll make a sale, and they won't equate it to the script. So again, back to things that work, repeating them. If you document stuff, then you know why it worked. So try it again. You'll be surprised, it might work again. And when it works again and again and again, now you have a script that you can follow right to the T. So, that's really all a marketing campaign is. It's figuring out, what is the script, what's the sequence of events that will take your prospect, educate them that you're the best solution for them, and make them an offer that converts. That in a nutshell, that's really it. That's what we're talking about. And it seems really simple, but it's not, because there's so many variables. Any of you guys that have been, at this for a while and trying it, you'll know how many variables you come into. Your script has to include a lot of things. That's why I've put, in the ACT program, I've made these pieces for you to get the script right. Like if you look at the pieces, there's a reason for everything. Everything in there is an absolute reason for. Like the timeline, the reason I put the timeline in there is you have to understand where they are, what they're feeling right now, and then ultimately where they want to be. What's the transformation? So if you can equate your presentation or your script where they actually feel like, hey, this is really possible, I can actually do this, that's where your lead magnets come in. When you give away free stuff, it advances them down the timeline. It increases their knowledge, it increases their confidence, it increases the amount of self-assuredness that they can do this. They can actually get where they want to go. And hopefully that was a word, self-assuredness. Sometimes I wind up making up words, but anyway, that's the gist of it. When they get confident that they can actually get the transformation, that's when their desire to buy goes through the roof. That's when your price all of a sudden is no longer an issue. If price is an issue, if you guys are making offers and you're getting the objection that it's too expensive, the only thing that means is they don't understand the value or they don't care. And if that's the case, you just haven't identified your audience properly. But if they understand the value, then the price issue disappears. Like if they know, hey, this problem is, it's costing me all kinds of things. It's costing me mental anguish. It's costing me anxiety. I'm losing money. I'm losing sleep. I can't work. I can't make money. If your solution solves that problem, that's worth a lot. You just have to describe it. You got to explain it in a way where they get it. You add the value so they get, oh my God, yeah, I could see that. That's totally worth it. And then the price issue just vanishes and disappears. If you watch, some of the marketers like Frank Kern, he is so good at that. When he sold Mass Control, he built the value up to about $10,000. And he had it to where it didn't matter. You were going to beg, borrow, or steal, and you were under the influence that you were going to need to come up with 10 grand or your life was going to end. And by the end of the marketing sequence, what he did, he made his offer, and his offer was for 2,000. So he sold that offer out in 20 minutes. He sold 1,000 units at $2,000 a piece, and he blew them out in 20 minutes. That was a $2 million ad campaign that closed the cart in 20 minutes. That's a matter of presenting the value where the price doesn't matter. I think a lot of people probably wouldn't have paid 10 grand, but they were scrambling to figure out how they could. And then all of a sudden, when he revealed the offer, he made it, he followed Eric Lofholm's thing of making an irresistible offer. Here's the thing that he proved beyond a shadow of a doubt: it was worth 10 grand. It was worth way more than that. And then the irresistible offer was, I've got 1,000 of these. There was scarcity involved. And he said, they're $2,000 a piece. He made a lot of claims in there that weren't true. Like one of them was, I'll never sell this information to anyone ever again. And 6 months later, he came out with Mass Control 2, which was the exact same thing. Basically, he ran out of money. So anyway, that's marketing. There's almost a cliche about truth in advertising. I don't know if it exists. A lot of things that are said in a marketing campaign are said for reasons, like scarcity, like the way Frank did the scarcity. You might say, I've only got, this is a great one. I hear this all the time with digital products. We only have 20 of these available. It's a digital product. You have an unlimited amount, but it's the scarcity thing. I used it in the beginning when I started my SEO Dominator Club. I said, I'm only going to take 1,000 people in here. I was doing what Tony Robbins said. I was following something that worked for other people. I was following Frank Kern's model. I said, I'm only going to take 1,000 people into this club, into this SEO Dominator Club. And it drew a lot of people in because they wanted to know how many were left, how many slots were left. They didn't want to miss out. When you create scarcity in your offer, people have a fear of loss. So if your marketing can incorporate that fear of loss, that's another way you can get more conversion. If you say you only have so much product, we build these, and Donna, you might be able to pull this off. You might be able to say, these are specialized products. We build these by hand and we only make so many per month. And when they're gone, then you're on the waiting list for next month. Because, your thing, when they want it now. They need it now. They have a problem and, they need it now. So they don't want to be on a waiting list. So that could potentially work, that type of a scarcity offer for you. So if you were saying something, you were muted out there. I didn't hear that. If you were talking to me. I'll unmute you there. There,
Hey,
now I can hear you.
Yeah, I was just agreeing wholeheartedly as you were explaining that whole process going for our products. you know, for our physical products, that could be a potential, but we're redoing our whole education system. And in the past and currently, it's like, oh, if you want to take a class, you can just go online and sign up anytime. And what I've really noticed, especially with a lot of the bigger guys, and even we kind of tested the market 3 times with 3 separate events, if you put a date stamp and a time stamp on it, even if we said, so we hosted 3 classes, and we said, we're hosting them in person. So if you want to come take this class at our farm, come on out. And we got a lot of people going, hey, can we take it online? And we're like, yes, absolutely. But then we closed it down. You know, we were like, this is the date of the class. And if you want to sign up and you want to have it electronically, or if you want to come to the farm, absolutely. But the night before the class starts, we're done. We're not taking any more. And it was really amazing how many more people we got. You know, like I had like 8 people show up for the in-person portion. And then on the one class, I had like 30 people sign up for the online. And then the other class, I had 1 person show up in person, and I had 70 people show up online. Yeah. And it was all because we put that, we're done, we're not taking any more. So we're rebuilding our whole certification program. So it's going to be, we're only going to open enrollment once a year or twice a year, and that's it. So that's where I'm going to need your assistance in how do we build that value? Like, what does that look like from a digital perspective?
Gotcha. Yeah, there's a really good, that's actually a really good lead magnet to get people on a mailing list, is when they go to a page and they see that the event is over.
Okay.
And they can't get it, and you describe what they missed. And then down at the bottom you say, we're planning another event, be on the list to get notified so you don't miss the next event.
Okay.
And say, you know, we only do these like once a year or twice a year, and you know, it only goes out to a small audience. If you want to be part of that audience, get on the list.
Okay.
Where you're making it really exclusive, and it's giving them a real good reason to actually sign up on your mailing list.
Awesome. Thank you.
So yeah, that makes a great lead magnet.
Yeah.
And I know Frank did that too. When Mass Control sold out, he actually immediately put that up on his site. And what he said was, he said, we've sold all 2,000 copies, or all 1,000 copies. It's sold out. He said, but, and get this, this was, I don't know if this is his exact wording, but this is pretty close. You'll get the idea. He said, sometimes people will do or sometimes their transaction won't go through and they'll fall out. So we might have a couple extra copies left.
Of course.
Yeah, if you'd like to be on the list and have first shot at these extra copies, how many extra copies of a digital product do you think you might have?
Right, about 10,000.
So that it's so funny. I mean, it's like, you know, when I'm able to see behind the curtain, I know exactly what's going on, and it cracks me up that they actually pull it off and get away with it. It just amazes me. I was speaking last night at an event, and it was a really cool event geared around contractors. And they've put the software together to help contractors get reviews and automate their online billing and all that, kind of bring them into the digital world. And it was like I stepped back in time. And when I say back in time, I'm talking like 25 years ago. These people were basing their entire business off of referrals. They had no online presence. They didn't even know what SEO was.
Wow.
I mean, I asked, not a hand went up in the entire room when I asked, do you know what SEO stands for, what it means, what it is? Not a single hand. It blew my mind. So obviously, being a good salesperson, asking that question, how do you think I geared my conversation?
Right.
I did not go into an SEO talk.
No. No.
So yeah, it was really, I mean, it was an eye opener. All these people, and what I did, I geared the conversation towards something they were familiar with. I talked about the yellow pages. I said, do you guys remember the yellow pages? Do you remember the people that made really good money and really built a business around the yellow pages? Do you remember those guys? They were the ones with the full page ads. They were the ones spending a ton of money on advertising, but their businesses were exploding because of it. So I made a direct connection there. And remember, when you're marketing, you're teaching, you're training. You're teaching them why you're the best solution for them. So I'm teaching them, the lesson there was, when you spend advertising in the right mode, the right medium, your business grows. They got it. They totally got the message. And then I said, now you guys are doing the same thing. Oh, and I also connected the whole yellow pages being out of date. I said, those people that were advertising in the yellow pages, when the yellow pages started to change, it actually wasn't the yellow pages, it was the consumers. Their buying habits changed. When they went online, what do you think the people that were really successful in the yellow pages did? They followed the money. They moved their full page ad onto the internet where their customers were. And now I circle back around to them, and they immediately in their mind have already associated this. And I said, what you guys are doing in the referral world is kind of like what happened to the yellow page world. I said, people used to talk to their neighbors and get referrals. That's not how referrals get done today. You know, and I picked up my phone and I went, hey, Google, because they know what that means. All the young people are saying, hey, Google, hey, Alexa, and they ask for their referral from Google and Alexa, not their neighbors. They're not like hanging out at the wall talking anymore. It's kind of sad, but it's true, and especially the younger generation. They have issues with communication skills. They don't talk to each other.
Right.
They sit in their room and they communicate with text. So if you're basing your livelihood on something that's disappearing right under your feet, you might want to consider changing your ways before you go the way of the dinosaur. So with that basic conversation, it had nothing to do with SEO. It had to do with where they were, the problem that they were experiencing, whether they knew it or not. I basically made them aware that they had a problem that they might not have either known about or were even focused on when they entered the room. So just like the SEO conversation I have, I've told you guys this before, how I do an SEO conversation is I'm there to expose a problem, and I let them discover it. And now they're bleeding and they want a Band-Aid. So, when you can do that, when you can identify your market by asking questions, by doing research, you really know how to gear your conversation. And online is no different. Like if I were to make a landing page for that group of people, I would know exactly how to talk to them. And that's what I would do. I wouldn't land them on a page and pitch them SEO because they don't even know what it is. It's a foreign language. Why would I talk in a foreign language? I wouldn't convert very well. So, it's a basic principle. It's a really basic concept, but it's so important and so few people get it. It's funny how when we move to the online world and we start building websites, the first thing, and I don't know where this came from, but everyone I've ever seen that built their first website, they thought they were going to get rich. They thought, I'm going to build a website and life is going to be grand. And, it's the same thing with business owners. That's why 96% of businesses will fail given enough time. It's the same thing. That I'm going to open a business, life is going to be great. They didn't know anything about business. They didn't know anything about sales. They didn't know anything about marketing, and they failed. It was a bad plan. You know, it wasn't, and in most cases, it wasn't. It wasn't that, you know, they never plan to fail. What they do is they fail to plan. That's the case. That's what's going on. And, you know, websites are no different. I think there's probably more than 96% of websites fail. More than 96% of online businesses fail. Just like, you know, it's funny how everything that's happened throughout history in the real world, and you know, when I say the real world, I'm just talking about offline, you know, doesn't have to do with the internet. Anything that happened there that worked or failed is exactly what I've seen work and fail on the internet. The internet is nothing more than today's media. You know, it's the medium in which we communicate. So the way we used to communicate before it is still the same way we communicate now, effective or not effective. It's just the delivery mechanism. You know, it used to be you'd advertise in the newspaper, you'd advertise in the yellow pages, you'd advertise on radio and TV. You know, and the people that were successful, if you look at them and you study them, they did exactly what I'm talking about. They figured out their audience, they targeted them, they spoke their language, they made irresistible offers, and it worked. The ones that didn't failed. Really, really simple. Nothing's changed. It's just the way it's delivered. So there's really good things about the internet, and there's really bad things about it. And I'll tell you, the really good thing about it is there's a lot of really good things. It's cheap, it's easy, it's accessible. You guys have the power to get in front of people like never before. You know, if you go back 20, 30 years and you tried to get a hold of an audience like you have access to on Facebook, you would have had to do it through TV. It would have cost you $1 million. No one could afford it. You guys have access to that power for next to nothing. You just have to harness the power of the marketing behind it to make it work. So that's one of the really cool things about it. One of the bad things about it is it's a different way of communicating. It's not face-to-face. It's not like what you're used to. Like last night, had I not been able to ask the question, I wouldn't have known the state of the audience, and I would have made a bad presentation, and it wouldn't have worked. What I did worked really well. I got probably cards from over half the people in the room that were interested in having a serious buying conversation with me. But had I not known that, had I not been able to ask the question, that wouldn't have happened. I would not have converted like I did. So with your website, the problem is it doesn't have the ability to ask the question, you know, unless you're really creative. There are creative ways to do it. The first thing I was talking about on the call is segmentation, allowing them to self-segment themselves. That's the way you ask questions online. You know, are you a buyer or are you a seller in real estate? That's the question. There's also ways, you guys all have access to this, and it's the video salesperson, the automated sales attendant video software. I've given that to all of you guys for free as part of your membership. It's in the resource section. It's under the bonuses. What that is, it's a software that is a segmentation software. It's really, really cool. And what it is, you make a bunch of different videos, and you basically do the A/B thing that a salesperson does. So the first video is an introduction. It's hi, you know, I'm John Limbacher. I'm here to talk about XYZ. Let me ask you a question. You know, and I'll just for sake of ease, I'll use the real estate example because I think you guys get it. We've played it through, so I'll use that. So I'm John Limbacher. You know, I'm a realtor here in Huntington Beach. Let me ask you a question. You know, are you looking to buy or are you looking to sell your home? And then 2 buttons comes up, buy and sell. The video stops. The buttons are there. I've asked the question. Now they're going to answer me. Based on their answer, I can serve up the next video. So if they tell me that they're a buyer, then the next video advances and it plays and it says, Awesome. You know, that's really cool. Buying your home is a really special experience. Let me ask you another question here, just so I can get some details so we can talk about the right things. I can make sure you get what you're looking for. You know, and then I'd ask another question. It might be a three-parter this time. It might be, you know, tell me a little bit about yourself. Are you, you know, a single mom looking for, you know, just to get by? Or are you a growing family where you're looking to expand, maybe move out to the country? Or are you looking for a bachelor pad? And then now 3 buttons pops up. I've asked the question. Now they're going to self-segment again. You know, clicks bachelor. Next video advances. I know exactly what to say. It's like, cool, you know, this is the best time of your life, you know, and I'm not talking about the house. I'm talking about him, what he wants. He's buying a bachelor pad for a reason. He wants to have fun. So that's where the conversation's going to go based on his timeline. You know, that's just what you do. That software is ultimately powerful, or ultra powerful rather. If you can do that, you could actually think about it. You can create the conversation just like you would in the real world using that software. The only thing is, it takes a little bit of thought. It takes a little bit of planning to figure out what are all the A-B questions to ask and what are the appropriate responses. Once you figure them out, you've got your script. You make the little videos, you load them up into the software, you set up the segmentation in the software, and now you've got a really, really powerful tool. So one video on your homepage could do the whole thing. Could take them through your entire sales process. Again, it's just like a funnel. You know, you're scripting out each piece of the funnel. It's a lot of work, but once it's done, it works forever. It's like, you know, I'll talk about value here so you get it. If I was trying to sell this to you, I would position it like this. What would it be worth to you to have a person that could sell just like you do, and you could go on vacation and this person would be behind selling for you while you're off playing? You know, there's a lot of value in that. If you could replicate yourself, what would that be worth? You know, you could leave one version of you back doing all the work and one version of you off doing what you want to do. Who would pay for that? You know, I think pretty much everybody on the call would pay a lot for that. That's what I'm talking about. That's what a marketing funnel is. You're taking a process, you know, hopefully you've figured out in the real world how you sell stuff, what works and what doesn't, and you can replicate that. You can take the absolute best version of yourself. You can look back historically. When I made a sale, look at the factors that actually made the sale happen. Look at the sale, or look at the presentations you made when you didn't make a sale. Generally, when you didn't make a sale, it was from a very few reasons. Either you were talking to the wrong person, they didn't want it, they didn't have the money for it, or there was an objection you didn't address. Because if you do the presentation right and you create the demand and the desire, you show them the transformation, you show them the value, you've created that. The only thing that stands behind you in a sale is an objection. You know, I think I've probably said that on every call over the last 6 months. But I say the stuff, you know, when you hear me say something over and over and over, it's not because I just want to say it. It's so important. You should key in on those things and take those as that's the stuff I should really take to heart. So, you know, look at those situations. When you didn't make a sale, why didn't you make a sale? Was it an objection? And if it was, how do you overcome that objection? In an online marketing campaign, you have to anticipate the objections. So it's really important for you to go back historically and figure out, what have they been? Why were the reasons people didn't buy my stuff? You know, when I made a great presentation and they just didn't buy, why didn't they buy it? And if you're letting people off the hook that easily, you're really two things. You're not doing them a service and you're not doing yourself a service. Because if you ask somebody, you get to the offer and you say, hey, does that sound like something you want to move forward with? And they say no, and you say, okay, well, thank you. You didn't really do good for them, and you didn't do good for yourself. Even if they don't buy, you still need to know why, for yourself, just to know what you did wrong, if anything. It might not have been you, but it's important to know. Because if you don't know, you will keep making the same mistake over and over and over. And a mistake that leads to a non-sale with work involved, not something you want to be part of your life. That's not something you want to repeat. I don't want to wake up every day saying, yeah, I'm going to have to do this needless work and I'm going to get nothing out of it. I don't want to wake up thinking that's what my day is going to be like. And that's what it will be like. It'll be like Groundhog Day. It will repeat itself if you don't ask the questions. It's no way. Life is too long to live like that. Everybody says life's too short. No, life's too long to live like that. So ask the question, figure out why they didn't buy. Because if you've got the right product for them and it's going to solve a problem and it's going to change their life, you're not doing them a service if you let them off the hook. Maybe they just didn't understand. Maybe there was something they just didn't get. You didn't explain it right. You guys might notice when I talk about stuff, especially technical stuff, I will say the same thing multiple times. There's a reason for that, because half of you will get it when I say it one way, and the other half will get it when I say it a different way. So should I just say it one way? I should say it however many ways I need to say it so everybody gets it. Because if you don't get it, you don't benefit. If you don't benefit, I wasted my breath. I don't get on here and say this stuff just to hear myself talk. I'm on here for your benefit. And if you're not benefiting, then we might as well go do something else. So anyway, back to, I got some questions here. Jim is asking about best software for info products, course creation, create fill in the blanks forms, multiple choice, and export to a report. Okay, as far as like fill in the blank stuff, there's many different ways to do that. There's a lot of forms online, like SurveyMonkey is a really easy one. You can export the reports in that. As far as like software for building products and course creation, I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't use anything other than Kartra at this point in the game. Kartra is absolutely awesome. It will do membership sites. You can create your courses right inside it. It'll host your videos. It has everything you're ever going to want for a membership site or an online course. Really easy to use, and it's got everything connected. So you got your mailing list connected. It's got calendar scheduling systems connected, your database, your tagging, your follow-up sequences, any kind of automations. It's a one-stop shop, very affordable. It's under $100 a month for everything. They don't have anything like, you gotta buy all these extra pieces. It even has the payment gateways. You ask about the best payment portal. It's built right in with Kartra. It does monthly billing. It does all of that stuff. So I couldn't recommend it any higher. I never thought I would move away from Amember. I used Amember software since 2008. I used that to run my membership site. I never in the world thought I would move away from that. And as soon as I saw Kartra, I started working with it. I looked at how it worked, and I moved immediately. It's all mobile. It's mobile friendly. It's everything that you would want. I haven't found anything about it yet that I say, oh, I wish Kartra would do this. It does all of it. Let's see. Ted wants. What's that?
Another quick addition.
Oh, sure.
I'm familiar with SurveyMonkey, and what my business partner and I are trying to do is be able to. One step would be like the corporate culture, so mission, vision, values, purpose, and then ultimately gather all the information that someone would need for a comprehensive marketing plan. And so I'll have videos, I'll have instructions, and then they fill in the blanks, and then it comes out in a customized report for them.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
It's a little more complex than SurveyMonkey, I think, has the capacity to do.
Okay. Yeah. For that. What you'll probably want to do is you'll want to detail it out. You know, make an exact chart of, because all of that is based on calculations. It's like if-then statements. And once you blueprint all that out, then you can take it to, you know, over to Fiverr or Upwork or any of these places where there's outsourced people, and ask them how much to create a custom PHP script for that. And then once you have that, then you can integrate that into your website. And it shouldn't be that much. I mean, I would be surprised if it was more than, say, $500 to get that custom programmed. And then you've got it. But make sure, like, when you do it, there's a lot of work in the A/B work up front to actually be able to get them to quote it for you. Because you got to be really specific. If you give them a rough draft and then they start doing it and then you start adding to it, they're going to nickel and dime you, and it might cost a whole bunch. So you want to make sure that you detail out the blueprint and give them an exact schematic of, you know, if this, then that, if that, then this. You got to have all the variables, all the options, and the outputs for each one. So if you can do that, you can get a price on it, and it shouldn't be that big a deal. It's pretty common stuff now. So that should do the trick. All right. A lot of people saying no email about your event. The event was it was a private thing that was only offered at a group that I spoke at. I spoke at Melody's group. She had a meeting about it was actually a 3-day event on public speaking, and I was one of her speakers, and I basically made an offer of the ACT program with a 2-day live event attached to it, where we would actually go through and spend 2 days hammering out your ACT program. So it was only offered to a very small group of people, and that's basically what's going on tomorrow and Saturday. So don't feel left out. You guys weren't, if you weren't at the event. I'll actually do that because I'm going to use this kind of as a test study when I do this tomorrow. And I'm creating some special documents to actually help speed the process. You guys will get access to all of that. I'll put it up in the members area, so you won't miss out. And then I think I will probably offer a couple more of those events, seeing how it goes. You know, for anybody that just wants a crash course, you want to just come and spend a couple days with me and just hammer it through. I'll make that offer, so you know, anybody that wants to take advantage of that, you guys will be able to do it too. So anyway, that's what the event, the email that I was making reference to earlier, that's what it was all about. Ted wants to know if I can talk more about my hosting and hosting costs. That's actually where I entered into the market. I've been doing web hosting since 1995. That's one of the companies that I have. We do hosting. It's not cheap hosting. It's not like what you can get at GoDaddy for, you know, $5 a month or X amount per year. It's more quality hosting. It's, you know, on servers that are not overloaded. It's servers that run fast. They're secure. They're supported heavily. And we also have servers specifically tuned for WordPress. The problem with WordPress is it's a real resource hog on servers. If you have a cPanel server from GoDaddy and you're putting a WordPress site on it, it's going to have problems loading. They don't load very fast, even if you optimize them for speed. And it's not because of the site, it's because of the server. So we do optimized WordPress hosting. Price on that is $39.95 a month. It's well worth it to have your site run properly and be secure. So I know some of you are already on that. Donna, your site's on that, and it runs, you know, very fast. I know your guy, when he moved it over, he's like, holy smokes. He goes, this thing is lightning fast. And there was nothing different. We just moved it from the server you were on to mine, and that's it. It just ran like it was supposed to run, because cPanel servers are just not optimized to run WordPress. And also, most of the cPanel servers out there, they're overloaded. You know, they're putting hundreds of sites on a server. And, you know, a server is just a computer. And, you know, the more actions you give to a server to work, the slower it's going to go. So, you know, why would you want to be on a server that had hundreds, if not thousands, of other sites on it? If one of those sites gets a lot of traffic and it gets really busy, what do you think is going to happen to your visitors? They're going to be waiting in line to get your pages, you know, served up. So anyway, that's the deal with the hosting. I don't really promote it. I should, you know, bad on me that I don't, because it's so much better than what most of the other hosting out there. And you have one point of contact. Like if anything goes wrong, I'm your guy. You don't have to go through India and what have you to talk to somebody to get something done. Let's see.
So, John?
Yeah, go ahead, Ted.
Where do you sign up for that? I can't find a place to sign up.
That's another bad on me thing. I used to have the site. I've rebuilt the site, and there's a lot of legacy stuff that I forgot to put in, and that was one of them. If any of you guys are interested in that, just send me an email. I'll send you a link. And I'm talking to a guy right now that's going to be revising my site, fixing some stuff, and I'll have that put back in. But for now, just send me an email, and I'll shoot you a link to where you can sign up for that if you want.
Okay, thank you. You know, I had a thought yesterday.
Uh-huh.
Are you the first one that came up with cloud cover?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was me.
Because I was thinking that's why Amazon probably came out with the cloud. I bet you that derived from you.
I don't know. It's possible. I've used that analogy in SEO back to the 90s. The late 90s is when I started talking about the concept of cloud cover. And really, I was using it in the concept and in the context of making sure that what you do for SEO is not detectable. Like I related it to World War II and the fighter pilots. And I said the fighter pilots that were successful and they got to come home were the ones that learned to fly in the clouds. The ones that flew in clear blue sky got shot down because you know, there was nothing hiding their ass. They were just out exposed and they got attacked. So I use that analogy for SEO. I do not want to fly in clear blue sky when I do SEO. I want to hide in the clouds so I can't be detected. That's the way I've always done it. That's been a concept of mine right from day one in the SEO world. It's what's kept me safe and secure and successful all these years. I've never had a client's site banned, not once, not ever. And it's because of that cloud cover concept. I don't do things in SEO that would ever stand out. I don't ever put a client in jeopardy. So yeah, the cloud cover thing, I don't remember when I started, you know, using that as a reference, but it was somewhere back in the 90s. So I doubt that was where Amazon got it. They probably had, you know, some other, who knows? I don't think I could rightfully take credit for that one.
I think they were listening to you.
Anything is possible. Let's see. Donna wants to know if Kartra comes with a mobile app. Kartra is mobile responsive anyway, so I don't think there's an app associated with it, but it will turn your entire site into mobile friendly. So you probably don't need the app. Let's see here. Jim wants to know how much we charge for website analysis. It depends on how deep the dive goes. I do a lot of them for free. Like if, you know, I'll pull up a site, look through SEMrush, give, you know, a basic analysis on it. That's what I have on my homepage, that free 15-minute consult. That's a, you know, that's a quick overview analysis of a website. We have, just so you have an idea of range, it goes anywhere from free to, we do some corporate analyses that are in the 3,500 and up range. But that's a, you know, that's usually a deep dive, full market analysis and coming back with, you know, all the angles to SEO because of it. Okay, Chris wants to know best way to split test an AdWords landing page. Tried using Google Optimize, Thrive Optimize. Let's see. I haven't done a lot of split test landing pages, to tell you the truth, but I think, I'm pretty sure in Kartra they make it really easy to do that. I know in Kartra, like when you're doing email follow-up sequences and email campaigns, they have an A/B split test in there, and their analytics will actually give you the results right through their analytics. That's another thing about Kartra. It's got amazing analytics built right in. Like when I've been sending email through the system now for a year, and you know, I don't look at the analytics a lot, but I was in there the other day and I was looking at the email analytics, and it said your best open rates are Sunday between 3 and 6 o'clock. And I'm like, wow, I never would have guessed that. So it's really cool, the information that you can get if you have analytics and keeping track of stuff like split tests and all that. But I mean, ultimately, if you wanted to do it the old-fashioned manual way, you would just create 2 landing pages, you'd create 2 campaigns in AdWords, and you'd send X amount of traffic from the same audience to each landing page. You could do it that way. Obviously, you would have to have some tags in place to track that, you know, some tracking tags, so you could you track your conversions and see which one converted better. But you know, that's kind of the long way around the horn. I'm sure Kartra would have a lot better way to do that. Google also had, I don't know if they still have it, but they actually have a built-in landing page split test thing. I forget what they called it, but it was interesting because back in the day when that first came out, they were in a big big campaign on anti-cloaking. And when you look at their split tester, it's cloaking. So here they're doing it, offering it as a service, but they're telling you not to do it from an SEO perspective. I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, it was basically cloaking based on criteria of what page is going to be displayed. And with them, they just had like a 50-50 randomization, you know, of what page. I know in Facebook does it on its own. Like you can create 5 different ads. It will start running your ads out to the audience evenly. As soon as it sees metrics where one is outperforming the others, it will start diverting the traffic to that one. It will still continue to test the others, but it will divert the main portion of your traffic to the one that's converting best for you. So that's why it's really important when you're going to run ads for this stuff, make sure that you have all the tracking and conversion tracking in place so you know you don't waste money. You know, if you're running ads without tracking, it's kind of crazy. You're blindly spending money, and you know, you don't really know what's working. One more thing before we close out, I just want to throw in on that subject matter. A conversion doesn't necessarily mean a sale. If you guys are sending traffic to a sales page and you're expecting sales off cold traffic on the first initial introduction, you're probably set up to fail. What you should be doing is you should be sending your traffic to a landing page that offers a lead magnet. Remember, the point of contact first is just to generate a lead. You're not trying to make a sale. Like, you wouldn't ever do this at a marketing event. You wouldn't go to a marketing event and walk up and shake somebody's hand and say, hey, do you want to order my shit? You know, they would look at you like, get the hell away from me. You know, it's not acceptable. What you do is you ask for a card. You say, hey, would you be interested if I followed up and sent you something really cool that will really help you? They'll say, yeah, that would be great. Here's my card. You generated a lead. That's what your first step in your landing page. Remember I said in the beginning of the call, stuff that works in the real world is what you want to try and replicate. Stuff that doesn't work, you want to stay away from. That's a pretty good example right there. So first objective of an advertisement is to generate a lead. It's not to make a sale. You can track them through your funnel as you educate them, and you can get your conversions. Ultimately, you know, your sales might come in 30 days down the road, 60 days, even 90 days. But ultimately, you have to track that. So you have to run the ads long enough to really figure out. You can't run an ad for a week and figure out if it worked. You know, it's a process. That would be like going to a marketing event and say, well, you know, I didn't get any sales at the marketing event, so I probably shouldn't go to another marketing event. You know, the marketing event wasn't to get sales. It was to generate leads. Did you follow up with the leads? Did you make presentations? Did you make offers? Did you close? That's the same thing online, same thing with your funnel. Don't expect your ad to make sales. Expect your ad to generate leads. Expect your leads to go into your marketing system and generate interest, demand, desire, answer, you know, eliminate objections, answer questions, and then make an offer. Then you'll know if you had a successful ad campaign. You'll know if you have a successful marketing campaign. You've got to run it long enough that you can get to it. You know, it's how many licks does it take to get to the center of the Tootsie Pop? That's the question here. So hopefully you guys are all in the right age range. You got that reference. All right, guys, that is it. Any last questions before we wrap up for today? Want to thank you all again, you know, for coming on here. Your questions are great. They're awesome because it gives us content. It lets me know, again, where you're at. If I don't ask the questions, I don't know how to cater to the conversation. So keep feeding me and I will give back. So, all right, guys, that's it for this week. I will talk to you. If you had any other questions or anything I missed, just shoot me an email. I'll be happy to answer those for you. And we will see you next week.